It started with an insult.
कॉकरोच हैं, पर हम भी इस दुनिया के सिटीजन्स हैं।
I am cockroach.
Chota cockroach.
Cockroaches. An alleged comment by India's Chief Justice about the country's unemployed youth that they made their own.
और उनके बाद का मान सम्मान रखते हुए हमने अपने आप को स्वीकार किया है कि हाँ मैं हूँ कॉकरोच।
Within weeks, that insult became a meme. A meme became a movement. And that movement brought down a government minister.
ये कोई मामूली विषय नहीं है।
But this is about more than one resignation. It's about how a protest born and spread on social media became one of the biggest challenges to Narendra Modi and his government.
It feels endless. There's so many people. I have never seen so many young people in one place. On my right, on my left, ahead of me, right down that road, behind me. And the thing is, it's not even feeling like a protest. It's almost feeling like a party. Just look at those guys on top of that tanker playing music on a jukebox. Just see.
It's a protest like none other. Defiant young people, aware of the risks of speaking up against a strong government, yet unafraid of calling out the country's Prime Minister. It started as a reaction to the Chief Justice's cockroach comment that he later tried to clarify.
Friends, something hilarious is happening. Let me show you. Since CJI called unemployed and active on social media people cockroaches, someone started a Cockroach Janta Party.
The Cockroach Janta, or People's Party, the CJP, was born initially as a parody of India's ruling BJP by a student, Abhijit Dipke.
How are you cockroaches? यार मुझे सभी लोग बोल रहे हैं आप इंटरनेट पर धमाल मचा रहे हो, लेकिन मुझे लगता है अब कुछ असली काम करने का भी वक्त आ गया है.
It quickly resonated, gathering millions of followers on Instagram within days. And then something happened which brought an online conversation into the real world, driving cockroaches to establish a protest site in the capital Delhi. In May, authorities voided the results of NEET, the fiercely competitive national exam for entry to medical school, after reports that questions were leaked. More than 2 million students were told by the Federal Education Minister that they would have to resit the exam. The government also announced an investigation into the leak.
एनटीए हो या एनटीए में कोई भी बड़ा व्यक्ति हो, जो इसमें दोषी पाया जाएगा, इसके खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी.
Leak scandals have long plagued India's exam system. But this time, the issue became a rallying point. Not only for students directly affected, but also for the millions struggling with lack of education and employment opportunities. Many student organizations joined forces and asked for the unthinkable, the resignation of the education minister.
Thanks to internet, reels, वहाँ से आया हौसला, क्योंकि एक आदमी उठता है ना, शुरू इन्होंने किया है, उठने में जोर आता है, साथ देने में क्या जोर आ रहा है तुम्हें, साथ दो. जेन जी का ये है कि वो ये नहीं देखते हैं कि माँ बाप क्या कह रहे हैं. लाइक मोस्टली माँ बाप बीजेपी सपोर्टर होते हैं, इवन मेरे माँ बाप है, तो मैं भी मेरे माँ बाप से फाइट करके आई हूँ यहाँ पे. नीट इकलौता पेपर नहीं है जो लीक होता रहा है. इवन जो लॉ के स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनके जो पेपर्स होते हैं वो भी लीक होते हैं, हर बार होता है, ये हर बार का है. अगर ये यूथ नहीं आती तो अभी भी कोई कुछ ध्यान नहीं देता, अभी भी नीट के बच्चे सुसाइड कर रहे होते, पेपर लीक हो रहे होते.
The Cockroach Janta Party says more than 20 students died by suicide since the leak of the NEET exam. 17-year-old Kahan Patel was one of them. His father travelled from his home state of Gujarat to this protest site in Delhi.
Show Kahan everybody. He's Kahan. He was preparing NEET for 2 years now. and he was pretty good in studies since the very beginning from the school. He was always the topper in this class. Then within the 5 days, government declared that the re-NEET will be held. So at that day, he was a little disappointed. That why me, and why is the students who are honestly prepared and who have finished honestly their work, why us? For a month, I don't know how that kid has been go through his own mind, his own fight. He never show his any expressions to us, to other friends, that he was so aggressive, feeling control in his mind, in his heart.
Ashika Bachchan is from a working class family in Delhi. The stakes are high. Her dream of becoming a doctor, driven both by the prestige and the potential of a better life for her and her family.
बहुत ही स्ट्रेसफुल रहता है और जैसे जैसे एग्ज़ाम पास आता रहता है और ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस बढ़ता जाता है, ऊपर से कंपटीशन इतना है, सब ऐसा लगता है कि हम हैं ही नहीं, कहीं खड़े ही नहीं हैं, लगता है कि बस अभी कोई आएगा और हमारी सीट लेके चला जाएगा.
Ashika's family has made huge sacrifices to support her in giving 2 attempts at the medical entrance exam. Medicine, one of the most sought-after professions in India, is also one of the most expensive. The 2 million students taking the NEET exam compete for 120,000 seats, of which only half are in affordable government colleges.
इस चीज़ का रहता है कि गिल्ट कि अगर मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाई तो मैं ये सब चीज़ जो मेरे घर वालों ने इतने एफर्ट्स किए मेरे लिए, उसका क्या मतलब रह जाएगा.
The CJP protest that started online on a platform the students were on gave an outlet to pent-up anger and pressure they were facing. To get the government's attention, one CJP supporter, education reformer Sonam Wangchuk, began a hunger strike. It went on for 20 days. Before early in the morning, the police forcibly evicted him to a hospital, citing his deteriorating health.
हाई कोर्ट के आदेशानुसार और हेल्थ कंडीशंस और मेडिकल एडवाइस के अनुसार श्री सोनम वांगचुक जी को यहाँ से अप्रोप्रिएट गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल जो मच नीडेड मेडिकल इंटरवेंशन है उसके लिए ले जाया गया है.
The next day, the education minister congratulated students who got top marks in the re-NEET exam, but did not acknowledge those protesting or comment on the eviction of Sonam Wangchuk. The government response fueled the fire. The youth spilled onto the streets across the country, with some even heading to Delhi for a protest march to the Indian Parliament. The government clamped down on the internet and shut metro stations, but thousands poured in. Filming while protesting became not only about sharing content but keeping safe. India has a history of jailing government critics on charges of inciting violence. To stop the swarming students, the police resorted to tear gas. Some policemen were hit by stones. The BBC has spoken to 4 protesters who sustained injuries consistent with pellet guns.
These are pictures from the day protesters marched to Parliament, and there was pushback at places by the police. They call it the wall of shame, and it's got pictures where policemen are wielding batons. One shows women shielding each other, and another shows a man who has bandage on his arm. He's sitting on a wheelchair. Yeah, there's quite a few of them here.
The pushback was met with more resistance. The slogans grew ever more pointed and the language confrontational. Many lampooned the Prime Minister. Mawar came from a small city, Kishanganj, in the eastern Indian state of Bihar.
the poster is saying that Narendra Modi and Dharmendra Pradhan is my girlfriend, and they are asking what do you want for my birthday, and I am saying I want your resignation. That's it.
Why is an exam paper leak such a big issue? How does it affect a student like you?
क्योंकि वहाँ पे मोस्टली मिडिल क्लास है और किशनगंज इतना वेल डेवलप नहीं है, तो मेरे हिसाब से कि बस यही एग्ज़ाम वगैरह ही एक ऑप्शन बचता है वहाँ का स्टूडेंट्स के लिए.
But it was no longer only about exams. The momentum was real and brought out many others from across Indian society who were hopeful this would lead to wider change.
जो ये हमारे प्रधानमंत्री हैं, ये खुशी खुशी अपना इस्तीफा दे दे, क्योंकि वो लायक नहीं है. मैं बुरखे में आई हूँ, मैं मुसलमान हूँ, तो हमारे साथ बहुत भेदभाव होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. हम अगर थाने में रिपोर्ट लिखवाने जाते तो हमारी सुनवाई तक नहीं होती है वहाँ पर. अब गवर्नमेंट ही चेंज होनी चाहिए.
Opposition parties joined in. They sat in protest outside the Prime Minister's house and wore black inside Parliament. The government accused the opposition of exploiting students as political tools.
दिल्ली में जारी विरोध प्रदर्शन यह गंभीर चिंता का विषय है और यह अत्यंत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि हमारे देश के छात्रों और नौजवानों को कुछ लोग अपने राजनीतिक स्वार्थों की पूर्ति के लिए एक राजनीतिक औजार के रूप में इस्तेमाल करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
But it was becoming hard for the government to ignore the cockroaches, their resilience and the support they had created.
Friends,
the Prime Minister finally spoke on the issue, not in an official statement, but somewhere the protesters would hear, Instagram, and promised a strict law to deal with exam paper leaks.
लाखों विद्यार्थी और उनके अभिभावकों के लिए बहुत ही पीड़ादायक है और इसलिए पेपर लीक घटना से अब तक पिछले 2.5 महीनों में अनेक विध कदम उठाए गए.
Ministers met with education reformer Sonam Wangchuk in hospital and gave assurances, after which he broke his fast.
Breaking news now, and India's Minister of Education has sent his resignation letter to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
2 days later, the education minister resigned. In 12 years of Narendra Modi's rule in India, only one minister had previously stepped down. For Kahan Patel's father, it was a bittersweet moment.
થોડીક આનંદની લાગણી થઈ અને સાથે દુઃખ યાદ પણ આવ્યા કે છેવટે મારા દીકરાને ન્યાય મળ્યો. જે સાચી હકીકત છે એ પહેલેથી હું જ કહેતો હતો. હું એકલો નહીં પણ એ લોકો પણ કહેતા હતા કે ભાઈ કોઈએ જવાબદારી લેવી પડે, કોઈકે જવાબ તો આપવો પડે. આન્સરેબિલિટી પ્રૂફ કરી આપી અને એ આજની પેઢી એમણે કર્યું છે.
The CJP called off its protest after the government also agreed not to prosecute protesters, to compensate the families of students who died, and made a promise to work on education reforms.
जो आपका चार्टर है उस पर हम गहन चिंतन भी करेंगे और आपके डेलीगेशन के साथ बातचीत करके जो कुछ भी हम डेलिब्रेट कर सकेंगे वो हम करने का प्रयास करेंगे.
The issue has since been debated in Parliament, and the stricter law against exam paper leaks promised by the Prime Minister passed after a heated debate. Will this be enough to keep India's cockroaches off the streets?
Everything is going to be questioned for the government because this is a democracy and it is by the people and for the people and not made by the government. We are going to question if something is going to go wrong, and the government needs to be aware about this now.
After digitally organized social media-led student uprisings in Nepal and Bangladesh, this was India's Gen Z moment. For now, they are hopeful that the anger they successfully channeled will sustain to ensure accountability in the long run and bring systemic change.